Hello, this is Mr. Richmond. We're coming from Miss Jackson's class today. Ella Hayden's here. Get over here, Ella. Come on over. Get in the camera and say hello.
Hello.
There she is. Okay. She's got to leave in a minute. So we're going to read the Mulcher today. And kiddos, if you got any questions or whatnot, just raise your hands as we read. I like the subtitles to this. There is a story growing on your lawn. Isn't that clever? By the way, did y'all notice that personification? The stories actually grow. Okay, we've got personification. Did anybody use that as your personification?
No.
You did? All right, Hannah. All right. You didn't? Well, why are the words there? So you'll read them?
I guess so.
Okay. All right. So the Mulcher by Ella, by Chris Pachelder. Well, bring the story. You might want to read it later today if you get bored. Take it. The Mulcher by Chris Pachelder. Soon after my wife and I bought our first house in Colorado, we bought our first lawnmower. I don't remember purchasing the mower, but we've bought enough large items together in the last 4 years that I can confidently reconstruct the event. In the lawn care section at Sears, we split up and wander around separately, inspecting the mowers. I actually spend a good deal of time inspecting things we're not here to buy. Power tools, deck furniture, flashlights. When I come to the mowers, I bypass the cheapest push mower and the second cheapest on the grounds that they are too cheap to be any good. Then I stare contemplatively back and forth between the third and fourth cheapest push mowers. I haven't done any research. I don't know what I want, and I don't know very much about mowers. And so I am as fully prepared as I was when buying, say, our house or car. Does this guy know very much about lawnmowers?
No.
He doesn't. So he sits, and I'll be real. I mean, how often do you research a lawnmower? Probably only when you go to buy a lawnmower. Other than that, you don't really think about them, other than when you go out, crank them, and cut your grass. A Sears lawn care specialist asked me if I need any help, and I say, no thanks. Those are both good machines, he says, indicating the two I am contemplating. I nod, cross my arms on my chest. He says, what kind of grass do you have? I say inexplicably, I just moved here. He tells me the primary difference between the two mowers, but I don't really understand him. He's not wearing a wedding ring. Divorced? Young son? Does he have a yard to mow? Did he lose custody of the yard too? Does he sell mowers all day and then go home to an apartment building, the grounds of which are mowed poorly and irregularly by the landlord's shiftless nephew? Would this make a good story? Does Sears have a softball team or anything? Is this guy paying any attention to what the salesman is saying to him?
No.
You know how sometimes when people start telling you things, particularly your parents, never your teachers, but definitely your parents, your mind wanders, you're like, oh my God, just get this over with. Like that. That's basically what he's doing. Thanks, I say. That helps. Eventually, my wife joins me. She says, what do you think? I say, these two look good. She says, what do you like about them? I say, they're adjustable and they have a ready start system. But so does that one, she says, pointing back down to the cheapest push mower. No way. I say, that one's too cheap. They both have bags, she says, so we don't have to rake up the clippings. Right, I say, noticing the bags for the first time. Bags. We continue to stare at the mowers. Every mower in the store really just looks like a mower. Someone in the key cutting area really needs a key cut. My wife says, it's too bad about the colors. I say, yeah. She says, come with me for a second. Let me show you one that I found. We walk 2 aisles over and she points out the product she's interested in. That? I ask. Yes. That is not a mower, I say. Oh, she says. Too bad. What's the main thing the wife is concerned with regarding the purchase of the mower?
Price.
Y'all aren't paying attention.
Colors.
The color. The color. We walk back to the two mowers we seem to have selected as finalists. It's clear to us both at this point that we'll buy one of these mowers. We're just waiting for some reason to prefer one to the other. We know that if we stand here long enough, we'll receive a sign. Our pre-purchasing deliberative process is patient, methodical, and almost completely arbitrary. We've now been at Sears for close to an hour. What is the main difference between them? My wife asks. Why is that one $30 more? They're both really good machines, I say, but is one better than the other? I think this one just cuts a little better. It has this weight, my wife says, kneeling down by the fourth cheapest mower. This one has a rebate. There is a rebate tag dangling from a string, but it has slipped down the handle of the mower so that the tag is actually underneath the mower, completely hidden from view. My wife must have smelled the rebate or heard its high-pitched cry. She vastly prefers the coupon to the rebate, but she knows how to handle a rebate. If the mower manufacturer thinks for a second that she won't bother sending off the receipt for our promised cash, they've got another thing coming. We have received our sign. The matter is settled. We put the mower on the Visa and take it back to our new home. Let's stop there. Why did they end up getting this particular mower? It had a rebate. Can anyone explain to me what a rebate is?
Isn't it like where the price goes down?
It does have something to do with the price going down. You?
Isn't it like they take something broken, they fix it, and they put it back in the store?
No. It's a good try, though. A rebate is this. They don't really do rebates anymore, but like in the late 90s and early 2000s, they did rebates. Y'all know what a coupon is, right? If you buy something, and let's say you're buying popsicles from, I don't know, Walmart or something. You have $1 rebate on a certain brand of popsicle. The popsicle's normally, let's pretend, $3 for a pack. You've got a $1 coupon. You can give them the coupon, and instead of paying $3 for the pack, you will pay $2 for the pack. That's how a coupon works, right? A rebate works similarly. What they do is you buy the lawnmower, in this case. They then give you paperwork to fill out. You fill out the paperwork. You get a copy of your receipt. You mail it all in, and then they mail you a check for the amount of the rebate. So let's pretend this is a $300 lawnmower. It probably had, say, a $100 rebate. So if you go through all this, you fill out this paperwork, you send in your copy, then they'll send you a $100 check. Understand? What are they betting on?
If you do it or not.
If people do it or not. They're thinking, they're going to get home, they're going to lose the paperwork, they're going to lose the receipt, they're going to forget, they're going to get distracted. Whatever happens, they're not going to send it back. Understand? And they actually made it much more difficult than that, because I actually bought a computer one time. It came with like $300 or $400 worth of rebates. And it was, I see it, Espen. And it required me, I had to fill out like 4 or 5 packets to get all the money back. So you would think, you just got to do it one time. No, doing it 4 or 5 times, and they're full pages. You know what I'm saying? And it takes, say, 2 hours out of your Saturday to do it. It's really not fun. So they were, like Jakai said, they were betting on people not doing it. Nevertheless, that's how a rebate works. They were terrible. It turned out to be an effective, dependable mower. For 3 summers in Colorado, it served us well. Stopping the mower to empty the bag was a nuisance, but the yard was small, the grass grew slowly in the dry climate, and I could dump the bag of grass into a compost pile behind our house. The mower started every time, and it cut the grass. I never thought about it, which is precisely how often I wanted to think about it. But then, the 2 words, the story needs to become a story. But then last June, my wife and I moved to a house in Massachusetts, where I began to think about mowing and my mower with disturbing frequency. Our new yard, while not large, is probably 3 times larger than our yard in Colorado. In addition, the climate in the Northeast causes problems. Regular rain makes the grass grow quickly, and the damp, high grass is difficult to mow because clumps of mowed grass get stuck in the mouth of the bag and have to be removed frequently. Worst of all, there is nowhere on the property to dump the mower's bag, and so the cut grass has to be emptied into trash bags, which then have to be disposed of in a reasonable way. They can't be thrown out. It's ridiculous to fill landfills with bags of grass, so they must be composted. Our town, which recycles nearly everything, won't pick up grass clippings, so we have to load the bags of stinking grass, at least 2 each time I mow, into our car and take them to a waste facility, which charges $50 a year for its services. Mowing had suddenly become difficult. One day, my next door neighbor saw me mowing and he walked over. Actually, I wasn't mowing. I was trying to dump the mower's bag of grass clippings into a black trash bag already stuffed with clippings. In between these bag stuffings, I tried to get a little mowing done. He stood beside me, shaking his head. He said, "What you need is a mulching mower." "What I need," thought I, "is a lawn care service, not unlike the one you have employed." I didn't really know what a mulching mower was. "What it does," he said, "it chops up the grass real fine and spreads it out over the yard, so you don't have to bag it up. Plus, the chopped up grass acts kind of like fertilizer." I conceded that was an attractive, almost magical concept. My neighbor said he was thinking of dropping his lawn care service to save a little money. He proposed that we each go in half on a mulching mower. I hadn't known him that long. I wasn't sure I was ready to share a mower. "I'll think about it," I said, trying to tie and then lift a plastic bag of grass. Think about it. Plastic bag of grass. What would Thoreau say? "I really hate to buy another mower, but there's nothing wrong with this one." We both glanced across the yard to see my mower, which remained completely still while the tall grass surrounded it and closed in menacingly, cutting off angles of escape. "But I'll think about it," I said. What do we just have right there?
Personification.
Personification. Yeah. Does the grass really grow and menacingly close in on a lawnmower and cut off angles of escape? Does that really happen?
No.
What is it being compared to right there? The grass.
Like a maze.
Huh?
It's like a maze almost.
Definitely not.
Like a predator.
A maze is not a person. It's got personification is
Like when you're hunting.
what?
A bear, I think?
Is a bear a person?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Like when
You.
A monster.
No, is a monster a person? You. Like the army? How they would surround something to get territory and close it off? Yeah. 10 rainy days later, I was mowing again and having a bad time of it indeed. The unruly grass kept threatening to shut down the mower. Stop. What does unruly mean? It means aggravating or misbehaved. If someone is unruly, they're aggravating and misbehaved, just out of control. That would be personification. The grass is not unruly. Let's keep going. The unruly grass kept threatening to shut down the mower, and the soggy clippings kept clogging the bag. Once the bag clogged, clumps of grass fell into the yard. I was stopping and dumping the clippings every 2 or 3 minutes. At this rate, I knew I would need several hours and several trash bags to do the job. The evening was hot and humid, and I was quickly losing my patience. I wasn't going to be able to make it through this mowing, much less the summer. My Colorado mower simply didn't have what it took to mow in New England. That much was clear. I made up my mind right there that when I saw the neighbor again, I'd tell him I wanted to go in on the mulching mower. I was ready. My wife wasn't going to like the expense, but I wouldn't be dissuaded. I couldn't live like this. While replacing the bag on the mower, I noticed how much cut grass was in the yard. Not the finely cut grass that acts like fertilizer, but the big wet clumps that smother and destroy the grass beneath. It looked like I was going to have to rake anyway. My 1/3 of an acre was now becoming a 2-day job, so I thought, to hell with it. I'm taking off the bag. I'll just rake the clippings or maybe just let them rot upon the lawn. Who cares? Let the wet cuts fly. I had become reckless and feral, it's true. Started the mower with a single flailing pull and started to mow. I was going bagless for the first time, and it was exhilarating. After 2 long passes, during which the blade did not sputter or slow, I noticed, almost with a sense of disappointment, that there wasn't much wet grass spraying wildly onto my lawn. In fact, the new rows, mowed without the bag, looked significantly cleaner than the old ones. I tied off the mower and inspected the rows more carefully, finding them to be as grassless as they first appeared. I then walked slowly back to the mower with a soaked shirt and the sort of cortical tingle that often precedes massive epiphany. I stared at the mower and saw for the first time that its deck was painted like a World War II fighter plane, and writ large thereon, Craftsman, 21-inch Mulcher. And so it was that I came to own a mulching mower. What's the irony?
That he had that and it was a big runner and
Yeah, he had what he needed the whole time, and he was suffering all this frustration. And one day he kind of had a panic attack and took off the lawnmower bag and started running around with the mower, and then he stopped and kind of looked around and looked at the lawnmower, and it said right there, Mulcher. He had what he needed the whole time. Irony, people. Let's keep going. According to Horace, the purpose of writing is to instruct and delight. To those noble ends, I would like to offer a full account of my thoughts and feelings in the moments immediately following my discovery that I had owned a mulching mower for 3 years without knowing it. My initial, visceral response was something like deep shame, humiliation, and self-recrimination. I had purchased a mower that had the word Mulcher painted largely and stylishly upon it, and yet for 3 years I had collected glass clippings in a bag. Interestingly enough, the word fool came to English 7 or 8 centuries ago from the Latin word for bag, as in windbag apparently. But it is terribly misleading to suggest that I was pondering etymology out there on the lawn. The worst part, and this occurred to me very quickly, was that I now had to tell my neighbor that although his offer was bold and generous and appealing, ultimately I had decided that I couldn't go in with him on a mulching mower because I already had one. Fast on the heels of shame was vast relief. No more begging! This discovery would change mowing forever. It was nice to understand so keenly the need for a mulching mower and then, suddenly, to have one. It was like owning my first washer and dryer after years of taking clothes to the laundromat. I didn't take the mower for granted. I didn't question or underestimate its value. I knew exactly what service the mower offered, and I knew what life was like without it. This feeling of relief and satisfaction would not have been available to the average person, i.e. the person who understands the features of the product he is buying. Finally, it's true that as I assumed mowing with my new mulching mower, I felt, on top of shame and relief, a giddiness and joy. I understood that I had just experienced the climax of a story, the punchline of a joke, and a pleasing narrative shape began to form. It's been said many times before, but lives, unlike good narratives, are messy, undramatic, unshapely, and we must work hard to find or create beginnings, middles, and ends. In an interview years ago, a writer said he once came upon a traffic accident, and as he rushed to help a bleeding and seriously injured man, he wondered how he might describe the scene, the blood. His point, as I remember it, was that writers tend to be double-minded, part participant, part narrator. There are probably better ways to live and certainly better ways to mow than to always be considering the dramatic possibilities of each experience. Better, certainly, to exist in the moment from breath to cleansing breath. Better to keep your eye out for tree stumps and subterranean beehives. When I discovered the mulcher, I also discovered a story. Once the ending made itself visible, I gradually began to make out the beginning and middle, the complications and rising action. A piece of my life had been tied off like a bag of grass, dramatized, made significant and meaningful. By the time I finished mowing that evening, my mind was high above my self-fertilizing lawn, considering narrative strategies. I was still a beep, but I was a beep with a story to tell. All right.